Got ya. Hi, welcome back to the UKLC, where everything freezes apparently, as we'll be kicking off our last game. It's going to be Fnatic Rising taking on NVision. Now, this game actually has some stuff on the line here, Orcs, so I'll let you kind of go into that one, as you're the guy with the spreadsheet on what the hell's happening.
Actually, in all honesty, this game does have some moderate stakes, but it's not like a one game decides all that we've seen from some other matchups. The critical thing is that NVision, if they want to close the gap with Fnatic, a win here is essential, because if they lose this, they lose the head-to-head. Fnatic secure third. If they win this, they are locked into at least third. They can actually overtake Barrage and get further up, but they can't get first. And the thing is, between them and Barrage, those two being second and third, the only difference seeding will make is down to things like side selection. So it will lock that in. If NVision win this, they extend the gap ahead of M&M, and it forces M&M potentially to have to beat Fnatic themselves if they want to close that. And it also means they can threaten Fnatic for third place, which would be a pretty big achievement to dodge away from XL in round one, who obviously looked so formidable. So
we'll be closing in on the picks and bans. One of the things we were talking about in the break was Fnatic's drafting has been kind of lackluster versus some of these stronger teams. One of the things you kind of hit up was they draft losing lanes and then a jungler that's very vulnerable to being invaded. And we need to see that kind of get shored up.
I think the big thing's priority. I think often they end up, so we saw that against XL, they didn't have priority in the mid lane due to the Ziggs into the Ornn. Now, it wasn't that bad because the Ziggs had to expend a lot of mana to contest that, so you can bounce back. But bot lane was losing in priority. And top lane, although it was an even matchup, Pride just lost it. So it kind of made things difficult for Dan in the early game. And yes, they came back in the mid game, but the short window they were given wasn't enough. So what I want to see against NVision is more priority to play around. If you want to put Dan on these vulnerable, potentially junglers in the early game, then I need more priority in the lanes to be picked up against NVision.
Well, we're into picks and bans, and the bans are rattling away. So the Syndra, the Cassiopeia, and the Taric all banned away from the side of NVision. While Fnatic Rising, they're denying the Senna, the Ornn, and the Gragas here. So this does mean the Aphelios and the Misfortune have been left open. We know Yusa and X-Maddie both really, really like this Aphelios. So you kind of expect this to be the first pickup, but today we've seen a lot of priority on the set as a blind pick as well.
Yeah, that's potentially a viable option, but I think NVision are confident to trade it off with the Aatrox if they need to, so they can leave that one open and available. Fnatic likely will take this set in this situation, and it's up to them whether they want to take an AD carry right now. They could prioritize towards X-Maddie, take the Ezreal, maybe go with the final rotation Yuumi, or if they want to go for something more aggressive, they can even take a jungler for Dan. He often takes things earlier on. Actually going for the Zig straight up. So this is a flex pick. It can go mid or bot lane. We saw Special have a lot of success on this, and this pick's been rising in priority. The scaling is huge, and the critical thing that I was just highlighting, priority. Ziggs is great at shoving waves in, and that's why I like to see it here.
And one of the things that you've been, because I've been watching you, I've been sharing an Airbnb, playing a lot of Ziggs recently. One of the kind of key things is once you got that Ludens, that's when you can take over the lane. But get onto that in a minute, because NVision have quickly locked in the Karthus and the Aatrox here.
So we expected the Aatrox as an answer into the set. It's a typical trade-off. Karthus is a little bit more interesting. So you're drafting that one without a clear look at your lanes. Mid lane is the big pivotal one, but we've seen Adept be extremely confident in that role. So we expect him to have a promising matchup where he can look to challenge. Now, Dan is actually in a good position to pick up the Zac here, because Karthus, obviously the ultimate, can just pop the Cell Division, you can then regenerate, and also it's not going to be as vulnerable to the typical invades we see sometimes Dan struggles against, especially when he played against Taxa on XL. So now, second rotation, the things potentially looking at are the supports. I expect to see a Thresh ban away here. It can offer that protection over to the Aphelios, but also it can disengage the Zac, which is, I think, quite pivotal. For the side of NVision, it's a little bit more tricky because you don't know if that Ziggs is going in the mid or bot lane, so you may look towards sort of areas where you can punish sort of fringe picks, maybe the Misfortune or the Ezreal for Maddie, or if you're looking towards mid for Magi Felix, he does tend to lean a bit more on mages, especially with the counter pick. Maybe you're concerned about something in particular, but actually looking towards the support role, which is a lane that is likely unpicked. We could see the Zac or the Set, in fact, flex down to support, but
Yep.
they're assuming otherwise with this Leona.
If Fnatic don't ban the Thresh here, we expect them to be first picking it in the next rotation. They banned the Tristana away, kind of a target ban from Adept. We've seen him been picking this up quite a lot in this upswing for NVision, where they've started to perform better and better. The Morgana is the ban away now, so you would feel that either NVision ban away this Thresh or Fnatic Rising will be willing to take it. They instead deny the Misfortune, don't want to give over the last kind of open power pick AD carry, and that's just going to be Fnatic Rising getting their hands onto the Thresh for Bravado. And what are we going to see either go mid or go into the bot lane?
Yeah, so I like the Thresh here because it denies it away. It would have been a big problem if Fnatic Rising did play the Zac into the Thresh. The Morgana makes sense. We saw Kasing play that into Fnatic Rising yesterday to great success. And now it's the final rotation for NVision. So likely seeing the mid laner for Adept, that Tristana banned away, which is something that could potentially pressure Ziggs. The issue now is that you're playing in a blind situation. You don't know if there is going to be the Ziggs mid or bot lane. That suggests to me that maybe taking the Lucian for Adept is a typical thing you'd see. You have the AP from Karthus, so you're not limited by composition in that sense. Now, support's a bit interesting for Crossfair. You kind of want someone to protect the Aphelios. We may just see the Tom Kench in this situation. It can get bounced around by the Zac and the Set, but it can do a good job of mitigating the effectiveness of the Thresh and the Ziggs. So, understandably, that one comes out. And now the question is going to be, are we seeing the Ziggs in the mid lane or in the bot lane?
We're going to have to see. Fnatic now looking for their counter pick. We'll see exactly what they're going to put where. So making their mind up. It looks like we might be seeing something we did see earlier come out from Deadly. That would be very exciting.
The thing is, this can actually be flexed as well. But no, we're not seeing that. We're just seeing the Varus. So fine pick for Xmatty. It sort of goes along with all that engage available to the team composition. There's a lot of CC coming out from everyone on Fnatic Rising, and their late game is extremely stellar, especially if they can protect their backline. But there's elements on the side of NVision that are also strong on top of that. They have the Lucian and the Aatrox who are strong in team fights if they can find their space, and Aphelios pretty monstrous as well. I do feel, though, it's going to be difficult to execute for NVision. I feel like that's the big difference maker. I'm looking towards mid lane for depth. If you fall behind on this Lucian, I feel like the composition for NVision falls apart. If you get a lead, it's the complete opposite. But it's kind of difficult to set that up when Nulty is playing a Karthus and not necessarily a jungler who can directly help you.
Alrighty, well, picks are locked in. And this time, I much prefer the Zac pick for Dan. I much prefer it.
I mean, they have priority. They have good priority in all three. I mean, mid and bot, they have priority, although the Ziggs can struggle against Solution because of how aggressive he can be. Top lane is an even matchup that essentially comes down to player skill, although usually we see the Set taking the advantage in the early levels. But yeah, it's a better situation for the Zac, and into the Karthus, he's not going to be able to challenge you as much. Now, I feel like in the later stages of the game, it is going to come down to execution. I think it's the critical thing. There's a lot of scaling elements on both sides, but there are certain members who sort of need to be strong, because if Varus falls behind, he'll get eclipsed by Aphelios. If Lucian falls behind, he gets eclipsed by essentially everyone. And top lane, the matchup, if someone finds an advantage, as we've seen Sendo did against Pride in the matchup against Excel, that can also cause issues. So I feel like teams come out of this fairly even in terms of what they're looking at. It comes down to the execution, how they're going to play out their game plan. I
really want to watch Pride as well in this game. Pride got kind of clapped yesterday in the reverse of this matchup. He was playing the Aatrox, and it was Sendo on the set, and he got hard clapped. And for me, I've had a few questions this season about Pride. I do really feel like he's been a bit of a sore point quite a lot for Fnatic Rising, and I think that's a fair point to make. So for him, it's really, I want to see him showing us why he was picked up for this Fnatic roster, because it's a prestigious team to get picked up for in the top lane, and there's been a lot of kind of big players who've played in that role for this team, and Shikari being one of those players.
Absolutely, and that could be a big turning point in this game. If one of the top laners naturally finds an advantage, that could be a critical factor in this situation. So normally we see a team really set up Adept for success, particularly when he's playing things like the Lucian or the Aurelia, the Tristana. But this is going to be a little bit more organic because it's down to him. The Karthus can't impact too much into the Zac. I think it's going to be interesting to see how things play out, because Dan on the Zac has the potential to go for a proactive early game and look to punish some areas of the map with his gank pathing, but ultimately we could just see some early farming come out from both sides.
Well, the teams have taken to the rift. No invades. We haven't seen any shenanigans really at all this season as far as invades, and early game action has broken out. It's been pretty chill. So it looks like for now, Ward's just going to get placed there by Shikari to cover the blue buff, while actually now we are seeing a delayed invade come through into this bot side here. Nulti, Yusa, and Prosper are looking to see if they can make something happen. And probably just see the map kind of get split a little bit now.
I think that's fine. I think that's a fine situation. I think critically stealing away the blue, securing that early for Nulti is a nice one. You also see the ward put in pretty deep by Prosper. Now, that doesn't mean he's going to be a little bit late to lane, but priority was already going over to the side of Fnatic, so not too much of a hit. And this does give Adept a side of the lane to play for, but that's very late Prosper in, and I don't believe he's leveled.
No.
Well, he wouldn't have leveled his Devourer now. He might have held off. Yeah, he's leveled the Tongue Lash, so it's expected when you're going in for an invade, but that means if a level 2 is hit by X-Madi and Bravado, they could punish, but I think they're cautious about Nulti moving down and punishing. For now, Pride doing okay in the top lane. Shikari not really in a position where you can shove when you know the map's being split away from you, but some nice trades coming out there.
Yeah, he could be liable for an early gank as well, so he does need to be a little careful around that, but
sack rate of those.
He does obviously have a fair amount of sustain on the Aatrox, a lot of CC to work with, so Aatrox can be okay in these dives, depending on how you play it. So we'll have to see if Fnatic Rising want to go for that play. For the moment, though, Magic Felix and Adept going for a trade. Magic Felix actually uses the exhaust and satchel Adept back. The bomb almost finds the kill. Adept with the potion, 15 health left.
That was super close. He landed everything in that situation. The satchel to knock him back perfectly. We said Adept should be looking to make some presence in this lane, but so far we've seen the success come from Magic Felix, and Houston Prosper able to find priority here. I think a large factor has been Nulti potentially leaning towards the bot side of the map. Put Bravado and Matty in the back foot, but they are farming in the tower, missing some CS, a little bit inevitable, and it has given Yusa a small lead. Okay, missing a lot of CS. Some of these can be prevented, right?
Oh, this hurts. Can you get this one? Oh!
They missed so many. That was actually really tragic.
That's so tragic.
I mean, sometimes, yeah, you're going to miss CS in the tower, but that was a bit off, is all I'm saying. Dan doing the skull on the top side of the map, so again, Shikari has to be cautious. The wave is in a bit of precarious spot right now because it's pushing towards Pride, but I think Pride haymakering there actually means it's not going to push outwards as much as maybe was before. There was a pretty stacked wave in Shikari's side when we looked up, so if Shikari can just freeze in front of the tower, he's fine in the situation. He's not getting dived, he's not pushing out.
Now, Yusa's actually getting himself a pretty significant CS lead, partially due to the Fnatic Whifferino underneath their tower. But Yusa yesterday was a player who stepped up heavily for NVision. And we kind of saw that return to form that we've been kind of itching to see all of summer last split, and most of this split as well, to be fair, as kind of a hyper carry for his team. With this CS lead over X-Madi, this could be his opportunity to be that carry once again.
Absolutely could be, and that would be the big difference maker. Aphelios does outscale the Varus. 1 item, 2 item, big spikes for the Varus, but if Yusa's ahead of the curve, and especially if he hits 3 items, you will just absolutely demolish. Been a fairly slow game so far. Kind of expected it with how both teams sort of have a lot of scaling elements, and also the junglers we're seeing from this one. Long Roam came in from Adept to get Vision down towards bot side when he had priority, not wanting to overstep too much in his lane. Did burn that TP to get back earlier. Magic Felix was able to get off a reset and pick up Dark Seal.
Now Dan, farming up a bit here in the jungle. Giving even to Nulti for the moment. The more levels he starts to get on this, Zach, the longer that elastic slingshot gets, which means the further and the more creative he can be with these gank passes. Magic Felix was also looking to roam down. Once that bomb gets hit onto Magic Felix, he's got the Mega Inferno bomb. He can also lend a hand from a long distance away to his side lanes. So for now, he just wants to try and hit that. Obviously, he got his exhaust coming up fairly soon. Adept did hit level 6, so culling available to him. Don't know if he's feeling comfortable after that first trade, though, to go for a fight versus Felix. And once this Luden's Echo gets hit for the Ziggs, it's when he kind of doesn't even have to interact in the lane anymore. He can just sit back, clear the waves, and look to move around and find an opportunity to Mega Inferno Bomb.
Yeah, your wave clear is amplified so heavily at that point. There's really not much Lucian can do to threaten you. Although Lucian will go some lifesteal early, so can sort of withstand your poke to a degree. But Adept's burned through all his mana now and is actually going to go for a reset. So Felix finding the situation. We'll have to see how this Lucian ends up playing out. I feel like one of the issues with him is he's quite short-ranged, and in these team fights, you're going to struggle to play around that short range. Obviously, Pride and Dan and Bravado being up in your face will cause issues. If you're in range to be CC'd, you're going to be vulnerable. And then Felix and Maddie quite often just pump out a ton of DPS. So it's going to be a hard game for Adept to sort of find a solid performance in, especially if he doesn't come out into the mid-game with a lead. But we'll see how things play out. Bot lane right now is pretty ahead for NVision, but overall the gold slightly in favor of Fnatic.
Dan's going to pick up this crab as well. Cloud Drake is spawning up. It looks like neither team really putting too much priority on it at the moment, but Nulty moving towards his bot side, maybe looking for a little something as Prospect's getting chunked out by Xmadi. Graviton route on to 2 as well. Can do a fair amount of damage as Yusa and Xmadi continue to fight. As now Dan is looking to make some plays towards this mid lane while Nulty stealing away the blue buff from Dan. Adept moves over to cover his jungler to make sure he's nice and safe. And Nulty now with that Requiem available to him has the ability to help some of these side lanes. He's going to look to start up this Cloud Drake. Karthus is one of the champions who actually does still kind of like these Cloud Drakes, even if it's just the one. Because 10% to his cooldown reduction on his R's actually... It's a chunk. It's like 20 seconds, 15, 20 seconds of his R.
An early Cloud Drake can be pretty nice onto ult-reliant champions in general. Like in the early game, 4% AD or AP, you really aren't going to feel ult.
Dan's looking to go in bot side. The teleports are getting used here. He's going to get himself a knock-up roughly onto Prosper as Pride's making his way in. Showstopper comes down, the Graviton, Moonlight Vigil, but that is going to be first blood over to Fnatic. Pride's the one to pick it up. Use everyone into that dive, though.
It's a heavy investment for 1 kill overall. They do get 2 flashes, one from Nulty and Yusa as well. But big investment for 1 kill. And they lose a plate out, which kind of mitigates it. And obviously, NVision had already taken that dragon. So, not sure what to make of this, because ultimately it denies the TP. It gives TP advantage, over to Shikari, which means NVision moving over this Herald already. They're in an easy position to take this one.
Ooh, hooked by Bravado. He's not going to follow up. Nulty's trying to get his red here, but Bravado's just being a nuisance to him.
Bravado could just, like, flash auto smite.
Ooh.
I mean, look at his health. He could have killed him, but I think he was a little bit cautious to go in for that one. Nulty playing with fire for sure in this situation. So right now, Fnatic have opted not initially to match. They are now moving Pride down, potentially. They're actually pinging to start up the Herald. This is the only window to do it, though, by moving their bot lane up and having Zac come over. If they don't do it now, Nulty will get on the map, and then they have the TP from Shikari to match. So NVision have a choice here. Either they match them at the Herald and look to team fight, or they allow Shikari some alone time bot lane to get potential plates.
Looks like Fnatic are just going to start this Herald. They're moving around as this kind of 4 to 5 man death pool currently. It is working out for them. They did lose out on that Cloud Drake, but they are going to get this Rift Herald in. With this free time for Shikari, he's going to get onto the tower. He won't be able to find first turret blood, but he's got himself a lot of additional gold. Pretty hefty CS lead as well at 9 minutes. We'll have to see where Fnatic use this Herald and how they plan to use it.
Yeah, so a nice move from Fnatic. If you're going to get the Herald, that is the window to do it. Your only opportunity with the TP disadvantage. And the trade-off is that Shikari gets some gold on the other side of the map. So I like the execution. They had a clear plan. They execute on it. It's just looking to see how they use this Herald after that, how they can translate it into something more.
You can use it mid lane with the Ziggs as well, because the satchel means that you have that execute and you can actually crack open that lane as quick as possible. But for now, it looks like they're looking for Prosper. He looks to get caught out by the stretching strikes. The Flay comes down. Xmadi's taking a lot of damage and the teleport's getting used. Dan gets peeled out by the Lantern as Nulty gets caught out by a hook. NVision used the teleport to join into the fight there. Adept got interrupted by Felix, though, from a satchel, and now they're looking for that fight. Culling's going to get used, and the exhaust, and flash.
Critical thing there was because Felix used the satchel to interrupt the TP, he didn't have it to interrupt the culling. So as a result, ends up burning both summoners in the trade-off for that. So honestly, I think this is fine for NVision. They end up getting summoners out of MagiFelix. Yes, they don't only get any kills on the top side, but they don't burn Shikari's TP. If this had been Shikari's TP, it would have been a different story, because then they would have lost that TP advantage in the side lane. Pride would have got his back. There would have been the counterplay. We do now see the Herald coming down the mid lane, though. Just the Herald won't be enough to get this low enough to satchel.
He's going to try and get some place early here. That was a big old bomb. MagiFelix trying to get these last few plates in. It's not going to be enough to actually pick up the tower yet, although he's running it fairly low. With the help of Dan, they should get it low enough to satchel. It's moments away. One more wave should be enough, and MagiFelix got a lot of gold funneled into him there on the Ziggs, so this should just be first turret in the mid lane. And what a lane to get that gold invested into, and what a lane to crack open, because MagiFelix, once that Ludens gets finished up, which you'd expect should get done on this base now, he's going to be able to take over this lane, and Adept now has an infinitely less safe lane to farm in.
Yeah, Adept eating a lot of bombs in this situation. You're playing a Lucian, you really shouldn't be taking as many from the Ziggs, and he ends up getting chunked out. And they could have defended that tower if he wasn't so low HP. So a big hit for NVision to already lose that tower and so much gold on the Ziggs. The Ziggs now has that Ludens, so his wave clear is just super good. It's very hard to force around him. And in the later stages of the game, the Ziggs is going to become a monster. He's already had that big gold inflation to help him get there.
And while we see, obviously, those summoner spells getting burnt by MagiFelix because of the skirmish of Adept earlier, he's now got that Ludens, so it's that kind of uninteractive point. He's got the turret when Adept doesn't, so those summoner spells being down, MagiFelix really should be feeling quite comfortable and quite safe now that he's able to push out this wave and just kind of step away. Look, he shoves the wave. Adept has to catch it fairly far back in the lane while he moves over to get his blue buff. Dragon spawning up soon. Xmadi and Bravado are down in this bot side. Yusu and Prosper sitting in a bush, just waiting for the wave to get closer to them. Now MagiFelix with the blue buff and the Ludens Echo. He's never going to have to interact with Adept.
And this may be the sole point, because bot lane, Yusa's pretty far ahead compared to Xmadi, but mid lane, the Lucian being behind puts him in a really sore spot compared to the Ziggs, because he's never going to overtake in usefulness. The Ziggs is always going to be stronger.
Xmadi needs to be careful. There is a lantern coming up as the tongue lash comes down. Xmadi, whoop, out of there.
The problem is, although they may be able to get bot priority, it's very difficult for them to contest mid priority against the Ziggs with the Ludens. Adept has to walk... That's a long leap.
That's a very long leap. He's not going to go for it.
Now, Pride's walking down. He knows he doesn't have TP, so he has to move first.
Oh, he's going in. The chains connect. That's just the perfect target. Prosper getting locked in place. Yusi gets gobbled up, but then gets instantly taken down. That's a kill for Dan. Xmadi also will fall here. And now the Cell Division being forced. They're looking to turn this back around. The bomb hasn't been quite thrown down yet. And actually a massive victory there for NVision.
Bravado has a stopwatch. So I was thinking he flashes away there, but he's low HP. Requiem's available, but ultimately a huge team fight win for the side of NVision, and they commit everything to find Yusa. And they do get him, but at what cost? He's able to use the Infernal ult to turn around. Xmadi close up against him. His items compared to the full Essence Reaver Yusa men, he took such a long time to kill, and ultimately NVision are able to turn this one around, get the second dragon, and they're looking in a great spot. It's an Infernal Soul as well. A big one for either side to take. Critically, Nulti with an Infernal Soul, the Requiem really stings, but Ziggs as well, the poke synergizes so well.
And that was a really questionable time to fight, because you're fighting into Adept, who had the Blade of the Ruined King, and Yusa, who had the Essence Reaver. Xmadi sitting on his components of his Blade of the Ruined King for himself, so he's infinitely weaker right now to Yusa.
And they thought they could go for it, because they thought, if we kill Yusa, we've got this. But a great flash eat from Prosper bought him time. Xmadi had the piercing arrow set up to hit him when he came out, but I think Yusa's flash actually allowed him to dodge it. He flashed as soon as he came out of the Tom Kench Devour. And it was just well played by NVision. They actually managed to find MagiFelix no summoners off to the side, and now Shikari hurting Pride here.
Yeah, Pride is going to get the Haymaker off, but it's not the true damage part, and Turret's going to get chunked out here by Xmadi. A lot of people making their way over, though, so Xmadi does seem to be a little careful, but he's trying to get this as low as possible. Shouldn't be able to find the turret, though, so NVision do hold on to their turrets, and still not being able to find a turret for themselves. Now, this Rift Tail spawning up fairly soon. See, the World Ender was used by Shikari. I think that was because Dan came in for a gank. So ulti down, and actually they might just be looking for the old repeat gank here. Shikari They know where he is, but...
Yeah, Flash and World Ender used. They go for the repeat, but they're not going to find it, and that sacrifices the Rift Herald now. I think this could be a play Fnatic make because they don't feel confident fighting 5v5, trying to go for a cross-map objective, but they don't find it, and Herald is going to go down, and NVision looking pretty good right now.
NVision looking very good right now, and one of the things when we see the Varus, one of the things we always talk about is the 2-item spike, the Guinzoos and the Blade the Ruin King. Yusa also spikes very hard once he's got his Essence Weaver and his Infinity Edge, but he continues to get stronger and stronger after those 2 items. Might have to hold that because Adept throwing out the culling, dodging away on the bomb, but down with the Let's Bounce is going to get the assist in there, and the Magic Felix finds himself a kill on to the mid laner of NVision. Shikari, meanwhile, going to try and take himself a turret, but Pride makes his way down to defend in time. Shikari, remember, no flash available to him. Dan's not going to look to steal this one away, but he's going to steal away some chickens.
Good pick coming out onto Adept. The short range means it's very difficult for him to contest waves, and when he does, he gets jumped on by Dan. The ult to the end, keeping him CC'd so the bomb from Magic Felix could hit. Really nice in that situation. So a little bit pulled back by Fnatic. They've still got that 1 tower lead to 0. It does mean that the mid wave is very difficult for Adept to contest because he's so far away from safety in that situation. Oh, Blue Trinket doesn't actually connect there. You can permanently see Bravado is playing Lantern duty. He always stands so far back compared to Maddie.
Yep, he's going to spot them out in the bush so they know where they are. Hook does connect, and Moonlight Vigil goes wide. Yusa missing out on that one.
Yeah, aim a little bit off, ultimately there.
That was the Graviton one as well, so it could have been the pick.
It was a nice attempt.
Ultimately doesn't get too much as Xmedi now has that Blade the Ruin King finished up for himself. NVision running around with the Rift Herald. It's still got about 2/3 of its timer left, and Nolty's currently in the top to mid area. I doubt he's going to try and throw it down mid lane at the moment because it's so hard to get the wave in the position. With Magic Felix now just being able to clear him out. He's got the Haunting guys in the works as well. So maybe we'll see him try to throw it down the top side or the bot side. Both of these turrets are vulnerable. And with Fnatic going for a reset, this should just be a turret over to NVision.
Should be in this situation, but you can see Fnatic trying to set up early to get in position for this Infernal Dragon spawn in a minute. They do not want to give Soul Point over to NVision.
Shikari should have his teleport in time. Yeah, and it looks like they're actually not going to go for the turret. They're going for the base here.
They want to contest that dragon. They don't want to give it up. They feel confident. The gold is even, but they want to take this fight.
Yeah, Shikari will definitely have his teleport in time. Xmedi now got his boot upgrade to double daggers. Yusa is actually looking to go for his Hurricane as his next item, wants to get the wave clear. And kind of that big AoE team fight capabilities. Once you got the Inferno with the Hurricane, it's really, really disgusting as actually they land a big hook and a flayback. Nolty's taking a lot of damage, has to flash away. Dan takes the Lantern out, and that should just be the Dragon given over to Fnatic. Great pick. Even though it doesn't get them the kill, it will get them a turret in the top side, a turret in the bot side, and the Infernal Drake.
And this is a problem. NVision went for a very late swap with the lane allocation to contest this dragon, and the result is Fnatic are able to apply pressure to side lanes. Those 2 towers pull them ahead in gold, and it means Adept has to go here to answer. He does have TP. There's a wave bot. Yeah, TP in.
Oh, we got a deep, deep teleport coming in. Pride looking to join into the fight. Dan in the middle of the team throws out the Let's Bounce, and in comes the bomb. Shikari's getting chunked out by Xmedi. Xmedi can't quite seal the deal, and now the culling's onto him, but everybody's chasing into Adept. Magic Felix looking for a satchel, looking for an interrupt. Dan gets himself the stretching strikes, and the hook will connect. Adept flays back, and Magic Felix takes him down. Fnatic Rising find their pick, and now they can go for Dragon.
And a huge flank from Pride coming in. They don't find the kill on the Yusa, but it's super close. The Dragon should be theirs, but looking to stop this contest for the mid lane tower. Herald doesn't kill from this HP.
Yeah, they're going to be able to take out the Herald as well, so that's massive denial there. Xmedi's just free farming on the bot side, kind of doing a deadly cosplay, really. Just getting solo farm and solo experience, and it's got him a level lead on to Yusa, as Yusa will be able to take a turret in the top side, so that's the second one for NVision. But the first Dragon for Fnatic Rising. And if they can get Infernal Soul, that'll be 4 Infernal Drakes stacked up on top of each other. A massive boost of damage.
It comes from a series of play, a slow reset coming out from NVision, cost them pressure in the side lanes, and then Pride is able to respond first with a great TP flank that sets up that fight. The engage is so good from Fnatic, and that could well be the difference maker in this one, because we've seen Magic Felix and Xmedi can be challenged when they're pressured, but realistically, in a straight up front to back fight, it's Fnatic who will be challenging the backline. They have the Zac who can leap forwards, Pride who can find angles to get behind Yusa, whereas realistically for NVision, it's just on Adept or Shikari trying to get onto the backline from a good angle, but it's not as potent.
All right, let's take stock of the items at this point as we're 21 minutes into the game. xMatty should be looking to finish up his Guinzoos fairly soon. He's got the components there, everything but that Amp Tome. Yusa very, very close towards his Hurricane though, so he should be matching him on those two items. A very tanky down with the Warmogs and the Cinder Hulk means he has a lot of base health to work with. Not many resistances, but the base health is there. And then Magic Felix now finished up on to a very important item with that Leandri's tournament.
Big spike for him.
Oh, Pride has found Shikari. Can't get the face breaker because of the Umbral Dash. Dan playing a very patient game here. Gets the stretching strikes out. Not going to go for it though with the elastic slingshot.
We saw Dan do this against XL specifically. Target the side laner. When you have the Zac, who can obviously hide in the brush and jump from a long distance away. He does walk away from this one. Top wave does need to be answered by someone on the side of Fnatic. But really, not sure who you want to send up there. Pride is great to go on the side lane, but Magic Felix next Maddie less so.
Magic Felix can just bomb the wave if he really, really wants to. As well as Magic Felix is standing on a ward right now, so does need to be a little careful because he could get himself caught out. A little while until that next Infernal Drake spawns up, and Fnatic chilling out for a little bit. Wanted to kind of hit these next power spike for xMatty before they look for any kind of contest or any kind of fight. And he's going to be the one to go topside and catch that wave.
Deb just going to go on the side lane up against Pride. I think this is pretty nice for him. He's looking to challenge him here.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of damage. He's going to get himself face breaking onto that Haymaker. Pride just turns it around, the culling being used, and Pride actually just dodging away on most of that ability. So, pretty decent trade, especially with the fact he's got the grip. Meanwhile, Fnatic having a light scrapper hook does land onto Yusa, but there's not going to be any follow-up as they didn't have xMatty with them. The bomb's going to come down to clear out the wave, and Shikari has to use the World Ender. The tower will fall. So NVision equalizing that one out now, getting 3 turrets apiece to Fnatic's 3 turrets. And these lanes are very long for both sides.
Yeah, it was a nice play though. They pushed that wave in on the top side, which someone had to answer. It ends up being xMatty. They don't use a Mega Inferno Bomb, and they put 2 members bot lane to get that tower as Pride had to back away. Despite the trade being lost by Adept, he has to stay with the Blade of the Moon King. Then they get that mid tower when everyone's rotating to respond. So now we have that 2-item spike for Adept, the Blade of the Moon King, and the Black Cleaver. It's great for sort of shredding the front line and helping Yusa do more damage. Yusa's picked up another crit cloak, but a while before we get to his big spike. Now, Magic Felix at 2 items, looking pretty strong on the Leandris and the Ludens. And we have xMatty on that Blade of the Moon King and the Ginsu's. Really powerful now if he can just free hit.
If he can free hit, that's the question though. There's a lot of threat to him with Shikari, with Adept being able to kind of close those gaps onto him and starting to burst him out. The Cleaver Blade of the Ruined King means Adept with a little bit additional health to work with, a lot of cooldown reduction, and crucially, sustain and DPS he can use. So xMatty gets interrupted on his base. We do see Magic Felix. He's able to go off and spend some gold. We'll see what he decided to buy there.
Dragon up in 50 seconds. They're looking to punish Dan here.
Yep, Dan does have this stretching elastic slingshot.
They needed Yusa to get in range to root. That was a critical thing. That's what they're playing around. There's no real instant hard CC from NVision outside of the Gravitum. They're kind of relying on the Gravitum to lock Dan down and stop his stretch and strike. Now he uses, that's a nice trick, use a sweeper so you have a ward to pull them in against with your stretch and strike, but Prospero able to shake it off in that situation.
Yeah, sorry, I baited you out there. Elastic slingshot instead of stretching strikes. We both got quite confused there. The elastic slingshot is getting charged up, but not going to use it now as Pride actually takes some serious damage. That's the Haymaker for the shield as they use the Moonlight Vigil into the Gravitum. As now Dan looks to come over the wall. Lots being used and might be able to find himself some stretching strikes, but not going to get it as he gets rooted up by the Gravitum himself. Has to flash away from the Infernal Chains, and Gravitum's still on as Dan has to put some distance out. Does have that Warmogs, remember, so he can just heal back up. So he's okay for the moment. We'll just try to recover some health as that's actually going to be the ulti used from Nolty.
Doesn't kill, but just chunk him out and delays that health regen. That's a critical usage here.
Pride teleported back in though.
Dan's waiting so long for Warmogs. If he jumps in, he's going to die extremely fast. That is the use of Requiem there. Delaying the Warmogs with the Leandris as well. It keeps you in combat for a very long time. I really like that usage. He doesn't get the kill, but he gets on the Dragon, and they're now on Soul Point. NVision playing that one very smart.
Fnatic really having a rough split. As this is the defending champions, and you've got Felix and xMatty returning to the roster from last season as two of the players who are looking to defend their title. And at the moment, they're currently in 3rd place. They're playing the 4th place team NVision, who are 2 points behind them in the standings. And NVision are really going toe-to-toe with them here. The gold lead is 400 between both of these teams. And it's NVision who found themselves on to the Infernal Point, Soul Point. They're the ones who are looking exceptionally strong, but the later this game goes, it does start to get a bit scarier for NVision. Obviously, you have the Aphelios, who scales very well, but you are going up into the likes of a Ziggs, who should just be able to chunk and make these massive zone controls. And look at the CS deficit between these two mid laners. Felix working towards this death cap, which is a really big spike for him versus the likes of Adept and Yusa, where he'll just be able to chunk them out.
And that's a critical difference between having the Karthus jungle who wants to keep farming and the Zac. Zac is happy to hand over farm to the Ziggs, and Felix gets extremely strong. And the Ziggs just keeps scaling. The ultimate can do so much damage. You hit it on a vital member, it can just insta-win a team fight off the back of that and force them to opt out of the fight. Now, Dan is potentially looking for Shikari here. He's running fast, so he might find him, but I think he's far enough away.
Yeah,
they were thinking he was going to recall. Yeah, so they thought he was going to try and recall, but Shikari just runs, manages to get away. And it's just actually free up an opportunity to push in mid. Now, poke comes down to Prospere. You got to be a bit cautious about that. Felix does have a lot of damage afforded to him. But that big lean to top side means they can now pressure mid. Adept's pushing in bot, but they have to be a bit concerned. Whenever there's fog of war, you're scared of the Zac engage.
Oh, you do have to be careful, because that is it. Dan looks to jump forward, gets those stretching strikes off into the face breaker. The piercing arrow is going to get dodged away. Shikari has to flash. One of the things I wanted to raise is how much damage Nolty's going to be able to do at this point. He's got that needlessly large rod. You saw earlier when he ulted Dan, it chunked him, because Dan has a lot of health, but he has no magic resist. He's got Ninja Tabby for a little bit of armor, but his resistances are low. He's just got core health at the moment, so he needs to start building items that will give him some kind of extra resistances to deal with stuff. As xMatty getting jumped onto here, throws out the chains as Yusa flashes forward, and xMatty has to flash out as well. AD carry flash for flash, but heal used by xMatty for the hit for the speed as well. Means ultimately, NVision do come up on top.
Yeah, it's only slightly though. I feel like in that situation, if Yusa hadn't flashed, I mean, I guess maybe xMatty wouldn't have used both of his summoners, but keeping your flash available while xMatty's down would have been a huge advantage. Although I will say there is more safety on the back of the Tom Kench. Thresh Lantern can be pretty critical. But ultimately, pretty aggressive play from NVision. They punish xMatty, but
xMatty is building a Bloodthirster as his next item.
Good defense item. It obviously gives you more AD, so you do more damage, but the shield just makes it very hard to actually cut through you. You need a lot more damage than you'd initially expect. We do now see Yusa picking up the 3 core items off Aphelios. And at this point, even if xMatty matches on 3 items, Yusa's starting to put out more damage. He is past that curve. He is at his power spike, and it only gets better for the Aphelios. But the contrast is mid lane. Felix level 16 with the Rabadons. Fnatic feel confident on this spike, and they're going to start up this Baron.
Yeah, they got a very, very quick one as well. If they can get the free time onto it. They've already chunked it fairly low. Remember, Felix can make these points of kind of these choke points harder to walk through, but with the Infernal map, it's easier to cut around. As now they're looking for some damage onto Felix. He's able to dodge away, and Fnatic, they try for the Baron, and they get forced off, and now NVision have the inside track into the mid lane. Pride and Felix should get there in time to clear out the wave, though, with the Haymaker and the bombs.
Critically, they got the TP from Shikari. That's the big thing. That's what they were looking for, and now in a bit of time, Pride is going to have TP advantage. The problem is, though, that just means Adept will be in the side lane. It's not too big of a concern, but now 40 seconds on the Infernal Soul. This will be the fight. Fnatic want to start it early.
Yeah, you can see Dan stretching up, gets lanterned out, not willing to go fully in at that point. As Fnatic get themselves their priority through into this area, but with the Crab in favor of NVision, they will always have a little bit of room to breathe, a little bit of kind of knowledge to play with, and NVision, they're good to give up this Dragon. It's only the second one for Fnatic, so they can look just to contest for Baron instead. As now that's going to be the strikes. That's going to be the cleanse used by Prosper. He's instantly caught out. Goes Golden. The box will slow him down, but Shikari looks to put the damage out. The cell division's been used. Prosper shields up, and Xmatty gets jumped onto by Shikari. The bomb is big, and it just chunks out Yusa. Magic Felix finds the kill. In comes the Requiem, though, and Fnatic will get mopped up. A shutdown for Nolty as Pride looks to heal back up. Magic Felix is trying to find those bombs, trying to find that damage. Pride wants to find some kind of an opening, but he's unable to do so, and it looks like the Dragon is just going to get sent away. Hook by Bravado goes wide, and NVision don't get the Dragon yet.
But they have their jungler up and Dan is down, so there's no way Fnatic can really start it. Prosper's going to ult back in with full HP. They're scared of the Magic Felix poke, but his mana's going down. Pride, he's waiting for his TP to be up. Can they start the Dragon before that TP is available? There's a few seconds. They need to go fast.
Yeah, they have to do it very quick, and it looks like they will be doing so. They know this is going on. They're stepping forward, but Fnatic are just going to have to give up Soul. The bomb is too late. Fnatic lose Soul to NVision, and NVision have a grip hold on this game.
And that's a critical aspect because it gives even more power to this team who are already doing a ton of damage. You saw that ult from Nolty, how it cut through two members on the side of Fnatic. But critically, Magi Felix almost 100 to 0ing Yusa. There was a little bit damage from Pride as well, but he just landed a perfect Mega Inferno bomb. I think it was into just a bouncing bomb. But it's so hard to be an 80 carry in this situation for both sides.
With the Leandries, now he's got that death cap and a fiendish codex.
Yeah,
Felix is going to do a lot of damage.
It was the Mega Inferno bomb, the edge hit him into a bouncing bomb into Comet. That just killed Yusa from like 70, 80% HP.
Question for me was, did he have a death cap at that fight? Yes, he did.
He had a death cap before that fight, which was a massive spike for him. Now they're starting up the Baron. NVision aren't really in a position. They see Xmatty walking over, but this might be enough to think they're not on it.
Yeah, that's just a bait at the moment. Xmatty sneaks back in, gets onto this, and Baron is getting cut through so quickly. They check it out now with the Scribe, but that's just Baron over Fnatic. Great read by them to catch that. They get a Lantern to make sure Xmatty's out of nice and safe. And NVision, they've got that Infernal Soul. They want to get the inside track onto the mid lane. As Magic Felix does have the bomb if he wants to be able to clear the wave out. Just to throw out the Q, and with the minefield is able to just one-shot the wave.
And a huge objective for Fnatic, picking that Baron up. It really shouldn't have happened. You have the Infernal Soul for NVision. They're feeling confident, feeling strong, but a nice sneak and a good acting lesson from Xmatty. Walking over the Scuttle Crab Shrine, trying playing it off. And we can see the gold in front of us, so...
Oh, Magic Felix. Get the bomb to get some distance with the satchel. Nolty flashes forward, and Magic Felix just flashes out.
Flank potentially...
Bomb? Oh!
Flank potentially threatened by Pride here. And Magic Felix has to be careful, because an ult actually could be close to killing him with the Infernal Soul as well.
Looks like he heals up a little bit there, so he's okay, but...
I just want to emphasize, level 16 Karthus, I think if we can fly back to the items, does he? Yeah, he has his Rabadons now. If he presses R...
Yusa just caught Xmatty out, but they look to turn it back around. The culling is doing some damage, and Shikari flashes in. Xmatty's chunked so low. Goes Golden through the Requiem, though, to make sure he's alive. And that's going to be the Haymaker. Xmatty will fall. A great hook to interrupt for the moment, but Bravado will fall to Adept. It's a double kill for Yusa. Sorry, a double kill for Adept. And NVision find their pick.
Magi Felix wasn't there, and the Baron picked up by Fnatic. It's essentially just wiped off the map. They managed to get a good fight. Yes, it's only a 2 for 3, but that stalls out the Baron. And the thing is, the difference between the Soul and the Baron is a Soul is permanent.
What will NVision now gain with this power they've gained on the map? It looks like they should just get this turret. Adept using his double up to clear through that, and Pride can't make it in time, even with the Baron. Will not be able to hold his turret, and looks like the Baron power play will actually be in favor of NVision right now.
Yeah, they pulled ahead, 1,500 up in gold. And Magic Felix is super strong right now, sure. But one of the things with Ziggs is sometimes it can be tricky to consistently land all your skill shots. When Prosper eats someone at the Mega Inferno Bomb, you're losing out a ton of damage, and the rest of his kit, it can sometimes be hard to consistently land that. The thing with Nolty's Requiem, you press R, it hits. The only way you can avoid that is with stasis, or if you're already dead, and Fnatic unfortunately weren't in a position to dodge that one out. It did so much damage there. You do not have the Zhonya's for Magic Felix though, and Xmatty is working towards the Guardian's Angel, which gives them an element of survivability, but Nolty just doing so much damage, and then the cleanup from Adept and Yusa pumping out DPS as well. I'm interested to see when Yusa buys, isn't base now, it's picks up BF sword. I was thinking he was sitting on those 3 items for a long time.
Seeing Dan still pretty low in the fire resistances go. He's obviously got the Bramble Vest now to kind of cut some of Adept's healing. However, they are going to try and use this Baron, just strong arm their way into the lane. Magic Felix with the satchel should be able to take that turret down. So tier 2 in the mid lane will fall for NVision. Adept doing a good job just to shove in the top side though, being a constant side lane pressure point. As Dan likes to hide in the jungle. It's a good choice of guns for use of the Gravitum and the healing. So Hook goes a little wide, throws out the Moonlight Vigil. 4-man Gravitum, actually, as Magic Felix could be the one getting caught out, is able to dodge away from the Tongue Lash and any extra damages. Pride has to answer topside versus Adept, who's just pushing away.
And Shikari's pushed a massive wave in the bot lane, so they're looking to collapse onto Adept here. If NVision want to, they can just go for this bot lane tower as a response. I think Adept just dies here in this situation.
That's the bomb. It's going to do so much damage. Actually, it did less than I thought, but will now find himself getting knocked up. CC'd for days. X-Matty makes his way forward. It looks like they are just going to try and give this kill over to the AD carry, but a shutdown for Pride with a Haymaker. Magic Felix can do a good job to hold the wave, and Magic Felix ulted top lane instead of bot lane, so he has to hold 2 lanes now without having his ulti.
Critical timing though. Adept is up in 50 seconds. Elder is up in 35. This is the goal for Fnatic Rising. Elder, the strongest buff in the game, could be in their hands because NVision have to hold them off for an extra 10 seconds after it spawns. You should potentially set up for a reset, but you can't go for one right now. I will say though, Fnatic don't really seem to be pushing in heavily on this timing.
Okay, cool.
I think they're cautious about stepping into the control of NVision. They don't want to get picked in this situation. And Adept having TP and the health of the Elder Dragon means your window isn't that great, but it's spawning up soon.
X-Matty's finished up his GA for this Elder Dragon, which is really, really big for them. And now Dan's looking for that engage onto Yusa. The flank's there for Pride. Yusa gets jumped onto, instantly gobbled up by Prosper, but the Let's Bounce into the bomb is massive! Another shutdown for Pride. Fnatic finding their kills. The Requiem's coming in, and Dan's in the middle of Yusa and Prosper. The chains go a little bit wide, but they do find themselves the slow. Prosper face breakered through. X-Matty gets the kill, and Shikari will just have to push in the top side, while Fnatic Rising will take down the Elder Dragon.
And they're just not respecting the engage coming out from Fnatic. They're going way too far forwards. Fnatic find a good fight for them. Yusa has to burn the flash, and although he survives, his team dies around him. And now Shikari's going to trade for a bot lane tower, but I think you just die here as well.
Yeah, Shikari maybe being a little bit too greedy. He actually uses his teleport to get out of that one.
Still not a great play. And now Elder Dragon for Fnatic. That ult for Magi Felix alone, if you hit the center of it onto Yusa, he dies.
And the big thing here is they've got that Elder Dragon, 11 seconds till Baron. It's going to be so hard for NVision to contest at this point, as they're going to go back to base, reset, spend their gold, and see what they can get. X-Matty just farming up a last couple of waves to make sure he can get as big of a buy for this Baron as possible. Actually, looks like he's not going to buy at all. He just wants to get this objective.
I think you have to give it. I think NVision actually have to give this one up. It's really rough, but I think you just have to try and buy time for the Elder buff, because if you die here, the game is over. And this Elder buff is so strong in team fights, I really don't think you can test this. Nulty, what are you doing?
Nulty's farming, and Pride can run him down. Pride doesn't have the flash, which is big for him, so it means he won't get caught out by that showstopper. Prosper actually ulted Yusa into the inhibitor, and it looks like NVision are just looking to try and rest. They're trying to go for the game-winning play here, but the bases are coming down from a couple of members. With this Baron buff, they can get back onto the map nice and quick. Pride's already there. A turret has fallen for Fnatic, and now they have to make some kind of a miracle play happen. It looks like that is just going to be NVision piecing out of there. They're happy to get the inhibitor, the Nexus Tower, and the inhibitor, as they're going to steal away a blue buff for Nulty as well.
Yeah, good denying this one away from Magi Felix, and critically they get the inhibitor, they get the tower, and they get out of that situation. Fnatic now though, they have the Elder buff for a little bit longer, and critically they have that Baron to stop pushing, but the waves were already so deep.
Bravado actually just kind of inted down there.
Wait, they're looking potentially for a pick here.
Yeah, are they going for this?
It's still an Elder team. You have to be so cautious.
Pride is playing with fire. Just used his face breaker. The elastic slingshot was used by Dan. And NVision are just going, actually, you know what? I don't want anything to do with that. The Baron buff minions are going to push in on the bot side. Elder is still on this team for a little bit longer. I can't see exactly how long they've got left, but Dan's going to go check for us so we have that information. Xmadi, Bravado waiting in the wings. They are looking just to take out this turret. Meanwhile, Felix shoves in on the top side. It's a good use of this Baron from Fnatic Rising right now. Adept is going to try and catch this wave. Can take it down nice and quick.
So Elder going to be timing off pretty soon now.
Oh. The Infernal makes it very easy for them to take out.
Yeah, there you go. 2.5 minutes, you get off it. And it is now gone. They still have the Baron, though, for the wave clear. It's a critical thing. But the fighting is now actually something NVision take.
Xmadi may just got caught out. They have that Lantern. He took so much damage. As he gets the Resurrect from the GA, Redemption's going to come in for the hill. What the hell was that? Prosphere. Sorry, Nolty just one-shots Xmadi.
He gets revived straight into Requiem. The Redemption wasn't timed as well, but Nolty got it pixel perfect, and he revives to go straight down. No time to heal, no time to lifesteal. They kill Maddie through his GA, and now they're looking to push up. Baron means nothing in fights. It's a few stats. It's not that impactful, and with the Elder down, NVision are feeling confident.
Oh my lord! Nolty is chunking right now.
He opted for the Oblivion Orb instead of the Void Staff. That is pure, I want to kill Xmadi. That is, I want to maximize my damage on the squishies. And it did a lot of work in that situation.
It did a serious amount of work. Fnatic are going to be able to defend it. They still got Baron to work with, but Xmadi needs to play so much more cautiously here. No GA available for him for the next Elder Drake fight, which is going to be massive for him.
Morellonomicon now picked up, so that healing that Xmadi is invested into can be cut down quite heavily. Yusu's got a Bloodthirst to offer him protection. Also has a stopwatch, and his flash is coming up soon. All summoners for NVision will be available, but on the other side, it's only heal going to be down for Fnatic Rising.
Xmadi should... You'd normally see the Gwynsies, but I think he's going to go PD in this game. I think he has to go Phantom Dancer.
He actually bought the PD. He sold his GA, bought the Phantom Dancer, and then he changed his mind. He actually refunded Phantom Dancer and just got the Zeal. So, and now he has the Phantom Dancer available. So that's why he did that decision. Now has both of those. Obviously, the GA not being available kind of reduces effectiveness, but you're still getting armor and AD, although armor's not helping you a ton. He has the Phantom Dancer shield, hitting a pretty high attack speed, but again, he's not as relevant as Japhelios right now, especially when there's more dragons and the soul in his hands. But it's naughty. If he can get a good ultimate off, it can be so instrumental, and Fnatic, they're looking to challenge the right members. Can you get on top of Yusa? Can you challenge Adept and potentially Nolty with this engage?
It's so hard to kill Yusa, though. We see Fnatic constantly investing all their resources into him. He has a flash cleanse Prosphere, just gobbles him up, gets him out of there, spits him out, and then they turn onto Xmadi.
The 3 summoner spells.
Yeah.
Flash, heal, Prosphere. Yeah. But ultimately, Felix as well. He's full build on Ziggs. This champion does an insane amount of damage. Can he land on a critical members? In the last encounter, everyone backed off to avoid the Mega Inferno Bomb. But right now, I'm going to check the exact numbers.
Guardian Angel only half is cooldown as well, as the Elder spawns in 22 seconds. This Elder is probably what's going to decide the game.
If you stand in the center of Felix ult, 1,500 damage.
They flash in against the chains. Prospect gobbles him straight out. The teleport's already been used here. And Fnatic, they burn a lot, and they actually get nothing.
Maddie flashed for that as well. That's a big hit overall. I mean, you have the cleanse and the eat from Prospect. It was never really going to work unless you manage to knock them up with a Zac. So a bold attempt, but Fnatic definitely struggling right now.
They even teleported. They have to go now. The slingshot is getting charged up.
Top lane.
As it looks like Dan's looking to go in. Adept's pushing out in the top lane though. Mega Inferno Bomb will clear out the wave mostly, but the cannon lives, and Adept should just get this inhibitor tower. Probably the inhibitor. Fnatic are going to have to invest heavily in here to try and close this out. But Adept has still got this cannon minion. He's not going to be able to go for the win here. Felix has to answer out for the moment. No ultimate available to him. Half health now onto this Elder Dragon, and NVision are closing in. The Moonlight Vigil lands onto a couple of members as Adept is closing out the game here. Felix is going to get redemptioned up. Adept looks for the kill, tries to turn it back around, but can't get that damage off. Now it's NVision's turn to get onto the Elder Dragon. They're looking to shut Dan down, but Dan's going to make his way out. NVision are gifted the Elder Dragon.
Great move coming out there from NVision. Fnatic try to go for for the engage, but they're unable to find it. They TP'd in, and that meant Adept could apply the side pressure. Sending Magi Felix of all members back was the worst one to have to go for because he is pivotal in winning these team fights. And now with the Elder buff, they're going on to Baron. You don't win team fights at all against NVision right now. And this might well just be a give up. If Dan tries to steal it and he dies, that's likely game.
He's going to try and steal it, though. Fnatic know that they can't sit this out. Baron actually gets reset here from NVision. We can't see where they are, so actually it looks like they're just going to go back, clear out this ward, and get back onto it.
They're waiting for Adept to apply pressure. He still has that TP. He's still in the side lane. There is no one that can match him with the Summoner. If Fnatic have to force a fight here, but if they do, they lose against the Elder, even 4v5 it feels.
NVision are just leaving that pink ward in the pit. They're saying, do it. We dare you to come into us right now. Xmadi and Magifelix are both dealing with Adept. And Adept, you saw how much damage he did to Xmadi prior to the Elder Dragon. He should be able to steal this one away. Fnatic have to go for the steal, but they can't because Shikari's popped the world under. Adept's being killed, and they do lose that. But now Dan, he looks to get caught out. Flashes away, takes the light. Shikari interrupts. The Cell Division is forced, and that'll be the end of the jungler. Dan dies. He's executed by the Gift of the Elder. It's a 1-for-1 globally, though.
But Adept actually doesn't have a TP. Try to TP out is the ultimate thing, because if you had that available, it could have been a big factor here. But right now, they're waiting for long timers for both. But double buffs for NVision. Elder and the Baron, they still have quite a lot of time available on this Elder Dragon. About a minute 45 left. So they can push up. They know without down there, the engage is really lacking. The wave clear is still big for Magi Felix, but into the Baron, it's a lot harder.
And Prosper still has this flash and cleanse. So even if they did have Dan here, the ability to actually execute onto Yusa is just so hard for them. Yusa's shield from that Bloodthirster is massive right now. He even has that stopwatch. Throwing out the Moonlight Vigil does miss it onto Magi Felix, crucially. Xmadi does look to just land a little bit of poke.
Now they're looking to push up the sideways. This is where things will be critical, though. Adept is just spawning, as is Dan, but they are so much closer to Fnatic's base, so they need to buy a little bit of time. We still have 1:10 on that Elder. Ult comes in just for poke.
Yeah, it's just going to do a lot of damage here. Not too much, though. There's no Dark Harvest stacks to get cashed in on, and Xmadi gets chunked out very, very low. Those Grievous Wounds will stop him from healing momentarily, but he's going to look to heal up. That's both the mid and the bot lane inhibitor falling here, with the top lane previously falling to Adept. It could just be the game here for NVision. They're looking to work these minions up.
Fnatic need an engage.
They are looking for it, but Yusa gets gobbled. They look for the chains. They look for the damage. Prosper cleanses away. Yusa puts some distance between him and the team. The shield's on, and Prosper lets bounce. Isn't even enough. Pride now gets caught out and shut down by Shikari. Xmadi has a lantern to put some distance out as Adept now getting jumped onto. The hook goes a little bit wide, and Adept's going to live. Fnatic do finally find the bomb, though. Gets them the kill onto Adept, though. They still have no turrets defending anything in this base. They still have to fight. They still have to go. Xmadi goes onto Nolty. Nolty does find himself the kill, though, and Xmadi's now just having to kite away from everybody. Has a bit of shielding, has the GA, and NVision are looking for the ending. Yusa gets taken out, but the game will end. NVision take out Fnatic Rising.
800 gold is the difference at the end of that one. It was so close between these two, but ultimately the side lane pressure from NVision was a critical thing in finding the success. Having the confidence to say to Adept, you go over there. I know the enemy team has a ton of engage, but we'll be okay. And it applied that level of pressure that Fnatic couldn't match. They tried to force with a TP from Pride. They failed. And despite the fact, you look at the scoreline, 4-1-5 for Pride, 5-1-7 for Magi Felix with 480 farm, it didn't matter. They managed to secure the objectives. They got the dragons, got the soul. And with some smart play, NVision come out ahead.
Okay, what does this now mean for our standings here? Because Fnatic have now just lost. NVision are 1 point behind them in the standings now.
So first and foremost, this means that likely M&M have to beat Fnatic as well if they want to catch up.
And if they beat Fnatic, does that mean Fnatic get kicked out, or are Fnatic still locked?
That means, no, Fnatic are not locked right now. So, but the worst case scenario for Fnatic is a 3-way tie for third.
Okay.
So if NVision beat M&M, Fnatic are securely in the top 4. But this win for NVision means, 1, they open the gap against M&M, and 2, they make it still possible for them to challenge for 3rd place against Fnatic. If Fnatic drop a game, so I believe right now this puts NVision at 7, Fnatic are at 8. If NVision win 1 more game than Fnatic next week, NVision will tie them in the tiebreaker, and then they can potentially use that to win out and get the third place seed. And that is really important because if you are fourth, you are playing against XL, which no one has been able to beat yet. If you're third, you're playing against Barrage, which although is still tough, definitely an easier ask. So this was a pivotal win for NVision. It's really
important.
Pushed them closer and closer to getting playoffs. It's made M&M's life harder. It's made Fnatic's life harder. But this is finally the sort of NVision we've expected. And we eventually, after the whole split almost, can say they killed an academy team. It took you long enough.
They did it. Let's have a little look at next week's matchups to see who's going to be playing who on day one of week 7. Be starting it out with Demise versus Feeling. Unfortunately, it's just a pride game. Doesn't really mean too much as far as the standings are concerned. BTXL will be taking on Enclave. Enclave struggling to find themselves their first win, and BTXL struggling to find their first loss, to be fair. They're doing pretty good. Then it's going to be Fnatic Rising versus Barrage. That's going to be a very, very exciting game. And then we'll be rounding the day out with also another important game, M&M versus NVision.
Yeah, so if M&M lose that matchup against NVision, they are in a really rough spot. The only thing they can do there is... Actually, no, they can't. If they lose that match against NVision, they're out. They're out of playoffs. So that one's really important for them. If Fnatic lose against Barrage, then that means Fnatic are put in a really precarious position because they can be challenged by NVision. A lot of things can happen next week. The first 2 games are just sort of pride games for the teams.
Yeah.
But the last 2 definitely have a big impact on standings. And I think we saw from today, even when there were games with no definite stakes on the line, the teams are still putting their all into it to try and secure the wins.
It's a real pride piece for a lot of these teams. And that last game is going to be so exciting because NVision on an upward trend, M&M on an upward trend. One of these teams is unfortunately going to be giving a loss here. And I am so excited for next week, man. I am so excited to see how everything gets as we kind of close in towards playoffs, because we could be looking at tiebreakers. And I never thought we could be looking at Fnatic not even making it to the playoffs.
It's still a possibility. That is the crazy thing. It would be a pretty wild one, because the way it'd work out is if M&M beat NVision and they win all their other games and Fnatic lose both games next week, they will all be on 8 points. Tied for third, and that means they'll get seeded into a bracket, they'll play it out, and then whoever's at the bottom won't make playoffs. The others 2 will. So if that does happen, Fnatic could miss out on playoffs. The fact that that's still a possibility and we've ended week 6 out of 7 is crazy. These are the reigning champions who dominated the UK for a whole year and had good, deep runs at EU Masters. And they're being challenged.
Well, every team here, our top 4 teams, the top 5 teams currently are all playing for a spot at the European Masters. Our teams who make it to finals, so our first and second seed team, not anything to do with the group stages, purely the finals, will be the teams representing us at the European Masters for the UKLC. So we are closing in on that. It's getting close. These teams really need to start pulling it out. And XL, I mean, they don't need to pull anything out. They just need to continue winning these games. We're going to be rounding the show up here. Thank you very much for joining us here for week 6. Me and Orks will be back next week, exactly the same time, same place. So until then, good night, and we'll see you later.